Hello, and thank you for 10,000 subscribers. What is up, everyone? We have just hit... Okay, that's a lie. We are a little over 10,000 subscribers. A little late for a special, but at least we're having one. And so I decided to do a studio tour, a project file walkthrough of Wicked, and a Q&A. So basically what we did before, but like 10 times as awesome. So with that, I kind of told myself it wasn't going to be an hour long, and I lied. It's pretty long, I'm going to be honest. But I had fun making it, and I hope you guys like it too. So let's go. So I'm just going to kind of go around and talk about some of the stuff I use for music production. So right here we have the computer. I got this about a couple months after I hit 1,000 subscribers, so I have had this for quite a while. It's run on an i7-7600K. This is a GTX 970. We got a 750 watt power supply, 16 gigabytes of RAM, a terabyte WD black hard drive, and a 500 gigabyte SSD. So that's basically the computer. Over here we have a subwoofer. I took this out of an old car and hooked it up to an old computer power supply, and it hasn't caught on fire yet. I would always recommend getting a sub if you can. They sound actually really cool, and they sort of unlock a whole new range of frequencies that you kind of can't feel before, especially if you have some smaller monitors. So I always recommend getting one of those. Lots of fun. So coming up here, I have a just a typical 1080p monitor, nothing too crazy. I kind of want to get one of those widescreen ones, but they are a little expensive. So maybe in the future. I'm not really a fan of the two monitor setups either, so but I'm okay with my 1080p monitor for now. Over here we have the audio card, a Complete Audio 6 by Native Instruments. I love this audio card. I feel like the drivers are really stable. It has lots of inputs and outputs. I also have a Focusrite 2i2, but I just kind of prefer this one a little more, just mostly because of the inputs and outputs that it offers. Over here we have a Blue Yeti. I use this mainly for communication, talking on Discord and stuff. I don't really record all that much, but when I do, I will use this. Let's see, we got studio monitors. I've had these for quite some time, KRK Rocket 5s. Always recommend these. These are some great speakers. They are a little small, and they do lack a little bit of bass, but I think for the size of room that I have, they work perfectly. Under them, we have these Auralex isolation pads. Basically what these do is make it so the bass frequencies don't vibrate the table. And that was somewhat of an issue when I would play at louder volumes. But the main purpose of these is to rise up the speakers so they're at ear level. Right here we have the AKAI MPK 49-key professional MIDI keyboard. A lot of fun with this thing. It's semi-weighted keys, and they do feel really good, I think. They also got faders, knobs, and some pads. I'm not a big fan of the pads, but I think on the new ones they sort of fixed the weird feel of them. So I would definitely recommend the AKI MPK MIDI keyboard. I actually got this. I think this is like a $300 to $400 MIDI keyboard, and I got it when it was on sale on like that cool Facebook garage sales. So that's definitely something to check out if you're looking for music gear, is on like Facebook or Craigslist or something. People are always selling cool stuff, so definitely something to check out there. Over here we have our what is AKG K240s, my original studio headphones. Absolutely love these things. They do have their flaws, but I've used them for so long that I've just gotten so used to the sound character that honestly, if these broke, I'd probably just go buy another pair. I love these so much. Awesome headphones. You got your Alan Walker mask here. When you wear this, you get a lot better at producing various house genres, so definitely recommend wearing one of those. Let's see, over here we just got studio decorations, some cool signed pictures. This is pretty cool. This is actually this was a wall scroll, and it was drawn by the same guy who did the Compass Rose EP art. Super talented artist, and it's really cool to be able to feature his art in my little bedroom studio. Let's see, another question I got in the Q&A was, do you have any hobbies other than producing music? And the answer to that is yes, I do in fact like snowboarding. So this is my main board, Yes Standard, with some Drive Now bindings. It's a pretty cool all mountain board, and really enjoy it. Coming in the closet right here, we have our talk box. I don't actually get to use this that much, just because I don't really make music where a talk box would sound good in. What I do every now and then, I'll take it out and play with it with the MIDI keyboard, and it's a lot of fun just to have a tube in your mouth that basically makes you sound like a robot. So a lot of fun there. Got a flight case for the XDJ. So over here we have the XDJ RX. This is a fun little piece of equipment. I got this when I wanted to try DJing, and it's very similar to the CDJ setup. You know, you load your songs in, you press play, and then you put your effects on them. Really fun to DJ on. I would definitely recommend this to anyone who wants to get started with more of the CDJ style of setups. It can also be a controller. That's another thing that's cool about it, is you can hook it up to your laptop. This is my old production laptop, and you can use it as a controller as well. So you're not just limited to the effects you have on here. You can do a lot more with it in the application record box. So coming over here, I don't actually have any speakers yet. I do want to get some more, but so far I just run it off this little JBL speaker. But most of the time I have my headphones on over here. These are the V-Moda LP2 Squared, V-Moda, something like that. Really great headphones. I do really like these. They're super durable. They're pretty comfortable. I will say after about 4 hours, they do start to hurt a little bit, but they come with a lot of cool stuff. Couple cables, extra long ones, a hard case. So I would definitely recommend these, and you can customize them too. I will say though, they are a little bass heavy, so I was a little off put by that when I first got them, because I'm so used to not having as much bass in my headphones. But if you like that, I would certainly recommend these awesome headphones. Got a microphone for the XDJ, and then right here we have I framed the CD anthology from Ponies at Dawn. This was something I always wanted to do when I had some of my music on a physical version. I always wanted to frame it and hang it up, because I'm super proud of this album, and there's lots of good music on here. I'm super proud of the whole Ponies at Dawn team for putting this cool thing together. And so I obviously wanted to showcase that and be able to present it to other people. So yeah, we got our production laptop. We got our printer here. That's good for schoolwork and various things. That helps when I'm angry at the printer, when it runs out of ink, and the essay's due tomorrow. But overall, I think that's about it for the studio. We have your acoustic treatment. This side's a little lacking in one of the panels, because obviously you have to open the door. But that doesn't make too much of a difference. I find I can live without it. But I think that's about it. I have my cool Mario and Luigi action figures I won from DJ Pygmay's remix competition. Absolutely love these things, and they really make the place a whole lot more fun. Okay, so let's get into an FLP. I'm going to walk through the project file of Wicked. So here we go. Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we are going to look at the Wicked FLP. This FLP was highly requested, and everyone seemed to be super excited to know how the song was made. This seems to be one of my most popular songs, and I really enjoyed making it because I got to experiment with the new genre. So, this project seems like a fairly simple project. Going through it, just looking over it real quick, there's not a bunch of crazy stuff going on. It's pretty straightforward, which should make this a lot more fun and not take forever. So I haven't really seen this project since, other than just a while ago. I haven't really opened it in about 6 months, so this will be a fun little journey for me as well. So I spent, let's see, how long did I spend? Okay, yeah, that is quite a long time. Typically, my projects where I experiment with a new genre, they usually tend to take a lot more time than other projects, especially when, you know, you got new stuff you're working with, stuff you haven't done before. So I'm sure there was actually a lot of stuff I made that I didn't actually put in this song and didn't make the cut. But we're going to talk about, first off, some of the stuff that did make the cut and how it contributes to the song. So we'll start with the intro right here. I'll play it real quick and then I'll talk about some of the stuff in it, and yeah. So, first off, we have this little, the back raining sound. This is something, I think I just got it off YouTube, but it sounds like this. I put a lot of effects on here. EQ, getting rid of the low end of the sound, and then some compression and stereo and reverb. That changes the sound to basically sound like this, but I started with this. So it basically goes from being a hurricane to a nice little calm stream. Next up we have this piano pad duo thing that sounds kind of like this. This pad is soft strings. It's a preset from Nexus. I really like it. It's pretty good for filling up space. And then routed to the effects just has some general EQ and reverb to control it and let it fit a little better in the mix. And then here we have True Pianos, which is just a poppy sounding piano. It's a good piano. I don't quite use it much anymore. Now I use a Contact library, Metropolis Arc 1, I believe. It's a pretty good library. But True Pianos, I've used it for a while, and it's a pretty good plugin. I do like it. And that sort of just gives a nice little backing sound here. On the piano, just some general stuff, EQ, reverb, delay, the typical. Next here we have this sound called the glue. Sounds like this. So it plays an arpeggio. It's basically just a square sounding pluck with some distortion. Sounds like this without the distortion. And with it. It's got actually a pretty cool delay on it. Sounds like this without it. So the delay actually adds some pretty cool rhythm to it, and I really like this pluck for that reason. On the mixer track, again, just general EQ to make it fit a little better, some reverb, and low pass for automating. So in the track I'll have these automations that change. As time goes by, it will change the value of this to sound sort of like this. And that helps with a lot of transitions. So, next up, I believe we have some plucks, or some water plucks from the Cashmere pack. Nothing too crazy, got a lot of reverb, some compression to bring out more of that reverb. Just adds a nice ambience. I think this is actually around the time when I first got the Cashmere pack, so there might be quite a bit in here. But after that we have, I think that's about it. Percussion is quite light in this first part. Some more Cashmere stuff. And then let's get on to further on in the intro, we bring in a bass that sounds kind of like this. And so this bass is basically just an electric guitar preset from probably Nexus. Yeah. And it just has some restrictive EQ on it and is thrown into a master channel where its volume is limited, and this goes through some more EQ and some other effects that I'll get to later when we get to the drop. But basically, this bass, the point of it is just to add some low end. It's not supposed to be super powerful or anything like in the drop, but it's just more there to provide low end in the intro. I don't think I have the subs on. No. Oh, then we bring in a lot of percussion here. So we start off with this break. It's a cut up Vengeance sample. Yeah, Vengeance. And then it's time stretched. So it's edited a little bit and has some effects on it, but it sounds like this. And in the effects, I think we get rid of a lot of low end and mess with the transients a bit with these compressors. So this is what it sounds like without effects. So really bringing out the high-end character and those transients helps it drive through the track a little better. Then we also have some hi-hats, 2 different hi-hats to provide variation. Alone they sound like this. Nothing too crazy effect-wise, just some controlling of the sounds, cutting out all that low-end rumble, and a little bit of compression. And with the breaks, they sound like this. So that's what the percussion in the intro sounds like. Near the build, we actually get this snare build, which sounds like this. Two general snares. One of them sounds like an egg hitting a wall. This one. Or no, this one. The other one is just a general trap snare. Nothing too crazy with these, just some general controlling of the sounds to make them not clash or not bring in any more mud than we have to. But near the end, one of them gets pitched up to help with the build. So, some other stuff we have here. This piano comes in, which is different from the other piano. Although, or no, I don't think it is. I think it's the same piano. But it plays some different notes, adds more of an arpeggio, and then so does this violin sounding thing that isn't a violin, it's a guitar sound. Again, nothing too crazy on the mixing, but I did add some sidechain. I think it gave it a nice little pumping sort of feel. Gives it more of a, the track more of a rhythm. So that's pretty much the intro. The build has some other stuff. That's when we bring in the leads right here. I'll turn off some stuff so you can sort of hear the leads come in. Turn off all the risers, which I also show. So I'll get to the leads in a second, but for now I'll talk. I have some of these risers and impacts to help with transitions. Those sound pretty good together. With a lot of these, what you have to do is take out a lot of the low end. So like for these, I didn't actually do that. Okay, I take that back. But for some of these, let's see, let's go to Mixer 41. I guess I didn't do that in this track, but worked pretty well for this one. Usually what you want to do though is when you have stuff like this, you want to take out some of this low end stuff to make more room. It helps a lot, especially when you're mastering. So that's the build with that. I think the final thing we have to show is the vocal chops. And I know That's probably the most exciting part of the track. So, let's get into it. So the vocal chops alone sound like this. Whoops. And so basically what this is it's an acapella from Survive by Ivan Jamil. And it sounds like this. Like this.
Free, free at last to be with you. Break the chains of yesterday.
And
Made
this.
it out of the darkness somehow to the other side.
So it's basically an acapella that's cut up, and you can play these certain segments. But this instance of it is pitched up a little bit, and this instance is pitched down, so you can have two different sort of styles. I think that was pretty cool, especially combining them both. It was really cool to do, and I think made a cool effect. So once you have the pattern built out and sort of like a melody going that sounds like this, it's then sent to the mixer track where it has some EQ. Takes out some of the low end of the vocals, making more room for other stuff, boosting some of the highs, adding some delay, some reverb, and a little bit of compression. Just some general mixing stuff to make it all sound good. And then after that, it is sent to another one. Yeah, right here. Where it has a lot of stuff for automation to help it fit better with transitions. Like this low pass, for example. So, that's basically the vocal chops, nothing too crazy. I know a lot of people thought they were like actually vocals in a different language or something. But no, it is, alas, just cut up vocals. They're really fun to do, and I think they were exceptionally good in this track. I'm very proud of the work I had done. And you guys seem to like it as well. So those are the vocal chops. That's about it. So let's get on to the next thing. Then we get to the drop. And it sounds a little like this. So something I wasn't very proud of, or something I don't think I did very well, and this was mixing the kick and the bass. And let's actually start off with the kick real quick. So it is just a normal sounding top kick, nothing too crazy. Goes through, has some compression on it, some EQ, some tuning EQ, nothing crazy. But what I did in here was cut it at 60 hertz, which was not a good idea in hindsight, and that was to make room for the sub. However, trying it the other way, it definitely sounds better as a kick-driven track with the sub frequencies rather than a sub-bass driven track. So my mistake there. Fix that in some of the newer songs. And it sounds a lot better, but the kick with the bass sounds like this in this song. So, wished I had fixed that in this song, but we're all learning here. So, the sub bass sounds like this. Nothing too crazy, just some EQing, and then we'll bring in the normal bass. The normal bass is actually pretty limited in this track. It's just one sound right here. It's a variation of a bunch of different waves that all make this sounding bass. I believe this is also in my Sounds of the Nebula pack if y'all want it. But it's routed to this mixer track, not too much going on. It's got some EQ. And then goes to the master bass track where it is changed a little bit. Has some more compression to help with the peaks, keeping the bass more level throughout the track in the notes it plays. It has a little kickstart on it to help with the tail end. Brings it down a little bit near the end of the 4 beats. But overall, just some general volume stuff. I tend to put a lot of random limiters on there to change the volume before it goes to certain effects. For some reason, I don't know why I was doing that. Anyway, so that's the bass. Next we'll get to the mid chords, which sound a little bit like this. And so these are basically three, I want to say there are 3 leads put together, yeah. So we have, the main one is the Future Booty lead, which sounds a little like this. So as you can see, it sort of adds that character sound. It has that future bass. I don't even know how to describe it. The ADSR filter here sort of gives it that sound. You know, this one. But I really liked this lead. Sounded pretty cool. And then on that we have the fluffy lead, which is good old Magnetron and Nexus, which I think added just a lot of high end, especially when you're using that ADSR filter. This sort of helped fill in a lot of the space and give that lead a little more width and character. Yeah, definitely gave that some more high end. And mid lead X also helped a lot, especially with the low end, giving it more character. So those are pretty much the mid leads. They're each routed to their own individual mixer tracks. They have differing EQs, but it's all pretty much the same. General boosting of the highs, some delay, reverb. The reverbs are all the same. And they actually have some kickstart on them too, help with sidechain. I found it actually gave it an interesting sort of rhythm when you have sidechain, because this is on a 4-beat pattern, where the kick is actually not on a 4-beat pattern. So definitely an interesting thing, and I think it sounded pretty cool. So then they're all sent off to this, where they have a tape stop effect. You can sort of hear this being triggered throughout the drop, but it sounds sort of like this. So obviously that didn't sound very good, but when you automate it and it's on time, it sounds a little better. So that's about the mid leads. They're then routed to the master channel. Next up we have the top leads, which sound a little bit like this. Oh yeah, gotta turn them on. Would be a good idea. So the main lead in this is this square lead right here. This is the My Little Portal lead from Sounds of the Nebula Volume 1. And it sounds something like this. This lead carries pretty much most of the leads. It's the loud one. And I think it gives the track a cool little square feel. I remember when I made it, I think it was Cody, just kept telling me to get rid of it. He didn't like it, but I loved it, so I kept it. And I sounded cool. But then after that, we have the Celestia lead, which I think is another one from Sounds of the Nebula. This one just did a great job at cushioning. It does. I use it in all my songs. It's a great super saw that I think adds a really great width to the leads in the stereo spectrum. And so that sounds a little bit like this, and together they sound like this. And then the third lead we have is a hardstyle sounding synth. I'm not sure where it's from, but it is a hardstyle sounding synth. It's got, just some square waves or sawtooth waves and some distortion. And then all together the leads sound like this. And we also have this right here. This is the Froggy Voices preset from Nexus. That just kind of added a cool little signature thingy, whatever you call it, to some of the breaks in here. Sounds like this. Or let's turn everything on real quick. There we go. So that's about the main part of the drop. A lot of other things have to do with the percussion and how it's patterned out and played. So let's turn off all the leads and just have the percussion play. So it sounds a little bit like this. So let's see, right here we have our snare, and on all this percussion we just have, you know, the general mixing, your compression to work with the transients, and you know, EQ to clean it up. Nothing too crazy on here, yeah, just compression and EQ. We have our hi-hats from the intro, these bad boys right here. We have these. I'm not sure what these are. Oh yeah, you gotta have your shouts in your trap music to make it sound authentic. So then after that, in a lot of the breaks, we bring in some interesting patterns and change up some of the instruments to sound a little different. So it sounds like this. So as you can see, like I brought in some tom drums. And played some different patterns. And that was one of the cool things about this track that I kind of liked was all the different ways I could experiment with different sorts of breaks and stuff like this. I think they're called breaks. I don't really know what they're called. That's just what I'm calling them. But it's similar to house music because you have a lot of these in house music. And being able to bring that knowledge into a different genre was definitely pretty cool and interesting to work with. So then the drop continues, and near the end of it, I think we get rid of the leads and bring in the vocal chops back. Yep, that's about how that goes. I think we bring in the water drops too. So that's about the drop. There's not too much, not a lot of crazy stuff. Just some basic, some leads, a bass, and some vocal chops, and some percussion. But I also have a lot of impacts and stuff to help with transitions. They sound nothing too crazy, just some general impacts. But yeah, that's about how the drop works. Then we get into the breakdown. Sounds a little similar to the intro, but I think I have a different vocal chop melody. So yeah, they're pretty similar to the intro. I think that's because by the time I got to like 50 hours on this track, I was just kind of done. And so that's where that came from. The build is fairly similar, I believe, but the second drop has a different melody, which sounds a little like this. So yeah, mixing wise, everything's about the same. The melody changes, and I think I went over pretty much all the instruments and stuff that I used. The last one's in this melody right here, which sounds a little like this. So it's actually sort of hard to hear, but we have another little, we got our freedom plug here. This American plug sounds like this. It's our big Western American guitar. That doesn't sound American at all. And it's routed to here. Again, just some general stuff. Basically the same sort of mixing techniques as the leads. Because it is basically in the leads. But this plays just sort of a different pattern than the other leads. I think it's more stereo. I took out a lot of mid. Yeah, right here I took out a lot of the mid mid stereo ness, whatever you call it, to make it sound more wide and fit a little better with the leads. So I think that's pretty much wicked. I have, again, some automation everywhere, basically, just helping with transitions and smoothing everything out. But yeah, that's about the song. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll answer pretty much any of them in the comments that you want. Let's take a look and see if I have any patterns that I didn't use in the song that sound cool. Here's one I didn't use. Oh, gotta turn it on. Did not use that one. Here's another one. Probably for good reasons. I don't really like the sound of that. Here's another one I didn't use. But yeah, that's why that song took freaking 70 hours or whatever it was. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Next, I will be releasing the Q&A or videoing that. So that should be coming out soon. I already have the questions for that, so hope you guys enjoy that. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you tomorrow or the next day, or really whenever I get the video edited. So yeah.